All right, so I want everyone to go ahead and take their structure and CSS notes. I actually want you to copy that folder and paste a new one. So I always want you to have backups on your backups. So before you work on anything, if you know you're going to modify it, always make a copy of it. And we're going to rename it border and images notes. Today we're going to start getting into visual elements and graphics, which is chapter 4. Border and images notes. So we're going to work through part of chapter 4 today together. And then I'm going to let you work on your informational websites for a little bit as well. So as you learn it, you can start, and you will have to turn these notes, but as you learn it, then you can start implementing it on your website as well. So after you've copied that file and renamed it, go ahead and open it. And I'm just going to rename this. It used to be S&C notes. We're going to rename it B&I notes. And go ahead and open it up in Notepad++. And open up your just the HTML for the moment. So we're just going to keep building on this section of notes all throughout the school year. So that way all your notes are in one place, but always, again, make a copy of it just in case you screw something up. You always have the last version to default back to. All right. So right now, if I open up our website in Google Chrome, I lied, it's not opening up today. Okay. My computer just, let's try Firefox. Okay. So right now, if we look at it, this is currently what it looks like. So just to make sure we know which notes document this is, we're going to go ahead and change the header. So instead of notes for exams, notes for chapter 4. In your header, change your title from notes to exams for notes for chapter 4. So I can type. And go ahead and save it. File save or Control S. It is helpful to start learning the keyboard commands. It will end up saving you a lot of time. All right. What we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to create underneath, let's see. So right now it looks like this. We're going to go ahead and where it says underneath inline style, So here, right after that P element, we're going to take this out. And we're going to call it, we're going to put what's called an HR. It's called a horizontal rule tag. And what the HR does, let's see if it will show here. I may have to change my background color. Okay, good, it should. A horizontal rule is a line that goes all the way across horizontally. So from left to right, it goes all the way across. So if you need to make a line to divvy up some sections of your website, you use what's called, it's a horizontal rule element. You use it similar to your break tags where there's only one of it. So like your break tags, you have your BR there, and it's in the style of an open, but there is no such thing as a close BR. It's the same thing with a horizontal rule. There is no such thing as a close HR. So go ahead and make a comment next to it. That's horizontal rule creates a line on the page. Again, if you want to break up your website into multiple sections, if you have a business that offers multiple different services, you can break up each service with a line. It's up to you. It's a design element. So this is where we're getting more into the creative side of making your website look even prettier, breaking it up, chunking it out. So we have that. Open up your site.css in Notepad, in Notepad++. And we're going to go ahead and add, let's see, we're going to create a class. Let's see, class ID. Okay, we're going to create a class. So it's period to create a class. And we're just going to call it border. And in border, what I want you guys to do, there's 3 different things. We're going to make a border on something. We have border width, which we'll go ahead and call it 3 pixels. And you always put it in pixels or percentages. We'll go ahead and give it a border width of 3 pixels. Border style. You're welcome, Ms. Peters. Of dash. And border color. Border dash color. To sharp. We'll give it white. So just put 6 zeros there. Make sure you spell color correctly, unlike me. And go ahead and save that. So in CSS, there is in your textbook about 2 pages worth of the blue and white tables that give you different properties that you can do for borders, backgrounds, border radius, gradients, height, box shadow. There is so much CSS on just changing the border in the background. And eventually you guys will do the hands-on practices as well throughout the book. But I just want to touch on it today. And I want to touch on images. So I want to show you how to put images as well. So we'll go ahead and save that. And what we'll do is we will make for your H1, go ahead and give it a class equals border. Go ahead and give that the class of border. So make your H1 your title of class of border. and refresh. Oops, didn't show up. Okay. I actually gave you, if you go back to your CSS, I accidentally gave you the border color black. Black is all zeros. All F's are white. Go ahead and save that and refresh. If you notice, you just add yourself a nice little border there. Your CSS, your border color should be 6 F's. So F, 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 F. Yes. There you go. So you just take your H1, so you're up in your header, add to the H1 a class of border. Because we made it a class. And so now your website should look something like this. And there's multiple different styles. You can do solid borders. You can do dashed borders. You can do inset, outset, grooves, dotted. Is that for me? Is that for Jacob G right there? But notice how close all our type is. Our type sits almost directly on that border, and that actually makes it a lot harder to read. So here's another little CSS that we're going to add. So go back to your site.css, and inside border, we're going to add what's called padding. And we'll just we're just going to add padding. And what padding does is, say you have a box. So your border is your box, and you take insulation and you put it on the inside to keep things from bumping too close to the edge of the box. That's what you're doing, is you're adding insulation. You're adding just that little extra space. And we're going to go ahead and do 3 pixels just to make it easy. So we got 3 pixel border width. We got 3 pixels of padding. And you can specify, do you want more padding on the bottom? Do you want more padding on the left, the right, the top? You can specify it, or you can just give it a generic all the way around. So if we save it and we refresh, notice how it goes from there to, we have just now just a little bit more space in there. And that helps tremendously when it comes to being able to read something, or just adding some extra white space in there. You're typically going to do it through padding if it's already inside a box. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and add an image. So do me a favor, go out to Google and just find an image. So we'll look up sharks. We'll look up sharks. So go ahead and just real quick find an image of a shark. This is a cute little shark here. I like him. So the best way, if you try dragging and dropping, it's only going to drag and drop the link onto your desktop. So the best way to actually right-click, save image as. Make sure you do not say save link as. save image as, we're going to go to our desktop and go to that border and image folder. So you always, when your images, they have to, no matter what, be inside that folder. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to rename your file to make your life easier and just name it shark and .jpeg. Make sure when you save as a type, make sure it's saving as a JPEG images. JPEG is JPEG, or .jpg, that's a JPEG as well. So make sure you are saving as a JPEG image. It's just going to make your life easier for right now. We're not going to go into the different file types yet. So you go ahead and save in there and open up your border and images folder. And make sure your shark.jpg is in there. So I'll give you guys about 45 more seconds to download a shark image. Just pick any shark from Google. You download it and you put it into your border and image notes is where you need to place it. So this is why every time you make a website, you have to make a folder for it and put all your assets, all your pieces of the puzzle in there, including your CSS documents, all your HTML documents, and all your images. Everything you use for that site needs to be within that folder. Okay, has everyone downloaded the shark image yet? Yes, everyone's good? Okay. So now that we have shark.jpg inside our folder, go back to your HTML. And we're going to go into the main, and I'm going to go in between my two divs. So remember we had div called class page, and then we just had another div with our inline elements. We're just going to go in between our two divs right there. And the tag for inserting an image is real simple. IMG for image. But we do have to add a couple extra attributes to make sure our image actually goes in there. Because if you just type IMG, it's like, great, HTML knows there's an image there, but it doesn't know which image. So, just like any other link, we have to tell it where to look for it. So, and we don't use href. Href is if we're linking to another document. We're going to use src for source. Is going to be our attribute that we use, equals, and we have to type the file name exactly as it appears, just like when you're doing your navigation. It's all case sensitive, all spelling specific. So mine was shark.jpg. And you have to pay attention to your file extension. So that period afterwards is your file extension. If it's .jpg, you have to type .jpg. If it's .jpeg, you have to type j.jpeg. You do have to be very specific on that. Not only do we have to have the source, we have to include what's called the alt element, ALT. What this does is it's alternate text. So say someone is using a screen reader. They can't see what the image actually is there. The screen reader will read the alt text and actually read out what the image is. Per ADA compliance, you do have to have an alt text on every single image you place, no matter what. When I place something into eCampus, I have to place an alt text for the image as well. If we put something on our school website, we have to place an alt text. If there's text in the image, your alt text will be typing out all the text that's in the image. Right now, I can just type out shark. I can just type shark as my alt text. Shark swimming. So you type out what is actually in the image. So go ahead and add shark alt text if you want to add hammerhead shark. If you want to add tiger shark. If you want to say what specific it is. Do you want to say it's just a shark? Is it a shark swimming? Is it a shark eating? Is it a shark hunting? Is it a shark face? The more you build into web coding, the more detailed your alt texts are going to be. Because we want to make sure no matter who is accessing your website, they are able to comprehend the exact same as everyone else, whether they can see it or whether they can't. After the alt tag, typically you will add either a width or a height. I like to do my height. Actually, let me rephrase it. I like to do my width because I have to make sure it's so much of the screen. I want to make sure my image can fit on the screen. It's not going past the screen. It's not bigger than someone's screen. You can do this two ways. You can do it by specifying how many pixels it is, or you can do it by specifying percentage. For right now, we're just going to do pixels. Later on in the course, I want to say about 2 or 3 more chapters in, you will no longer be using pixels, you'll be using percentages. But for right now, we'll go ahead and say our width is 500 pixels. And pixels is always px. And then make sure you close your bracket on your image tag. Just like BR, just like HR, there is no such thing as a closed image tag. It's just a single tag that you use. But you include all this information within that single tag. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So we're going to go ahead and save and refresh. And now I have my pretty shark there. All right, give me 1 second. And just to make sure, always we change the header up here, change the title as well. That shows up in your tab. So border and image notes. And congrats, now you have borders. You have your H2, so your horizontal rules, and you can now code an image in there.